Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome. We are going to be talking about another essential responsibility in the self-direct model, and we are broadcasting from Georgia. So there is a similar model all across the country, and I'm sure it's administered differently, but we're going to be talking about Georgia in specific. So budgets, handling the annual budget for yourself or for your loved one. So that is the responsibility of the employer of record. And so we are considered the employer of record, or if you look in the Now Comp manuals, it's also referred to as the representative. Yeah.
Right.
So we receive an annual budget. We don't receive it, by the way. It doesn't come into your bank account. I would want you to know that. And that is for our protection as well. We don't want that.
Right.
It's
we never see the money.
Yes.
Everybody always says, "Where's the money?" I'm like, we don't see the money. We never see the money. It's the Medicaid money. Yes.
And I believe it's for our protection too. So it goes a third party, a fiscal agent. They're the ones that handle the distribution of the funds, right? Whether it's a paycheck, they handle the payroll, or if you have hired a vendor, they would submit, transfer the funds to the vendor, et cetera. But there are processes in place, right, in order to do that. They just don't transfer it. Okay. So as the employer of record, and by the way, if you want to know where this is in the manual in Georgia, and then it's in the Now Comp only, I'm not looking at ICWP, but we will eventually look at ICWP too. It's in part 2 of the Now Comp manual. It's on page 114 of 209. So I'm citing 1209.1. I know that's so exciting, but that's exactly what it's written. It's in black and white.
Yes, and we want y'all to get used to the numbers and the pages because that's like our rule book. So it's like everybody's always like looking for stuff, and it seems like where do I find these rules? It makes it easier for all of us. And how many of us is there in Georgia, Rita?
Like 3,000 and growing.
Wow. So if we teach each other and we learn the rules and we spread it across, and we all just like there it is, and we learn the verbiage, and it's like easier, and it just it flows off your mouth.
That's right.
You don't have to guess at it.
Yes.
There it is. There's the rule. Yeah.
It's in black and white. It is in black and white. Okay. So we have what's called budget authority. So as employers of record, representatives, we have the ability to direct the funds. Again, there's parameters around all of that. So we're going to be talking about the parameters, not going to your bank account, not going to buying tickets to the Bahamas, nothing like that. Okay. So we determine the amount that's paid, and I'm looking at the language for the manual. Determine the amount paid for services within an established rate. Okay. So again, the state sets rates that are allowable that you can pay up to. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to pay that top rate, because your budget, it all depends on the funding that you have allotted for that year, right? And that funding depends upon some of the assessments, right? In terms of the level of need of individuals, et cetera. So it all works together. It may seem like it's not a process, but it really is a process.
And everybody's different. That's everybody always, when you hear these different webinars and conversations and you're like, why does one person get more than me? Well, it's really because it is individualized, and it's for a reason, because everybody shouldn't get the same, and things change. That's why, again, it goes back to, like you were saying a couple weeks ago, the different process of the ISP, and then the budget. And now you're talking about that because you want it to be that way.
Exactly.
It's so important. You want it to be that way.
So don't compare your budget to someone else's, because your child is different, or your adult offspring is different from everyone else. So, don't try not to get.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad or good thing. Right.
No, it's not. It's not. Okay. So again, we're going to quote some policy here again. If you are looking at, because a common question we hear is, what can we pay? What do you pay? What do you pay? Look in Appendix A of the Now waiver, Appendix A of the Comp waiver. That it's going to give you a listing of the approved rates and the services. Okay. So when you look at those, again, you could pay up to that rate, but your budget may not, give you enough funding to cover the entire year. So I just urge you to be really thoughtful and look at your budget and what you have allocated. Okay.
It's got to last for 52 weeks, 365
That's
days
right.
a year. Yes.
Yeah,
And that's where it's very important. I mean, I'm one of them scary people. I want to keep my employee all year long. I don't want to run out of money.
that's
And I
right.
don't, and then my son doesn't want that. He's like, I need staff all the time. I'm like, exactly. So I'm always, and I'm not meticulous about watching it every day, but every week I am looking at it, to make sure, and even days off, holidays. We talk about all this stuff because we are really an employer. We are a business. It's so important to take that with pride instead of, oh, it's just, even if you're a family hire, that's the one thing, Rita, that people, even if you are family, you're still an employer. Even
Yeah,
if, that's still taking it with pride. We are so blessed in Georgia, and the rates are so, I mean, we're really, everything is good. I'll be the first one to say we have nothing to complain about, but it's really important to take this with pride and to really take it as a business model because it really is.
that's right. That's right. Okay. So we have the ability to direct those dollars, but it has to be outlined in the ISP. So it's as outlined in the ISP. So it's not that you can take the full funding amount and decide, you want to spend it all in one area. It's line by line. So they're different line. It could be community living supports, community access individual, community access group. So as employer of record, we direct those dollars based upon what was agreed upon in the ISP.
Yes. Yes.
So you can't go rogue and you can't move funding from one category to another. A lot of people think that we're able to do that, but we're not able to do that. So yeah. Okay. And then we authorize payment. So that's what's really important to pay attention to, because your name as the employer is pretty much on everything, right? So those, as you are approving payroll, so a component of that might be to check, are there any errors? Did your employee perhaps forget to clock out and it shows that they worked 24 hours, but they didn't work 24 hours, and you have to go back in and check that and correct that error rather. Also vendors, are your vendors, are their invoices correct? So checking those as well before you enter them into the system. There are human errors that occur, right? So yeah, so we need to be able to just check those, and because again, our name, we are ultimately responsible. So
exactly,
be careful with that. Okay, so the vendor invoices, and then we talked a little bit about the budget for the entire year, monitoring it. So it could be that you look online at some of the summary reports on a whatever frequency basis you want to do. So everyone is different in terms of how they organize things, their systems,
exactly,
etc. They also come in the mail too. So do you want a hard copy, and do you want to review that every month, every 2 months, whatever your system is, to look at that and to compare it with what you've billed, and to know that sometimes what you already have in the system may not be reflected as billable hours for employees or vendors, may not be reflected in the report that you're looking at. It could be 2 to 4 weeks behind. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just like now we're like in this new thing of maybe looking for a new employee. So that's really crucial to see how much money you're going to have versus how much you want to pay them. Or like we were talking about, having somebody PRN, that's like a new thing to think about, because you have to really make sure that, like if you say you're going to pay $16 an hour to the person, that's really not $16 an hour coming out of your budget. So it sounds like, and that calculation will really mess up your budget. I mean, I remember when I first started, I was like, it seemed like one thing, but it's still a couple dollars more on your budget because of all the fees. And that's a learning curve for people that are just starting. I mean, I remember I was like, I've messed up. And it's okay to mess up. That's why you ask for help. And we have the physical agent, which they're really helpful. If you'll just call me like, I need help. They'll answer the questions. They are up to date on their information as much as they can be. And that's why you have your service coordinator as well. But, it is our responsibility you don't know what you don't know. But if you don't ask, it is our responsibility. It falls back on us because we are the employer of record.
That's right. That's right. And you bring up a great point. So if you decide to pay someone, say, I don't know, $17 an hour, it's not $17 an hour and coming out of
Exactly.
your budget. It's a little bit more. So check that tax rate, the cost to you rate, right?
Right.
Because that's the taxes, Social Security, federal, state taxes, and then also workers' compensation. So there's
Exactly.
extra. So be sure to factor that into your calculations.
Right.
Yeah. So important. And I think that rate changes. It may change slightly every year, right? So just check your records on that. So in terms of systems and looking at your budget I tend to look at it on a monthly basis. Everybody, again, is going to be different, but if you're able to set up a system, you can catch errors too. If you see something that's irregular, right, you can go in and say, oops, I don't understand this. I didn't bill for this, etc. That happens very infrequently in my experience, but you still want to check.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we've talked about budget authority. That is what the official government language, that's what it's called, right? We have budget authority in the waivers, and it gives us a great amount of control and freedom for our loved ones or for yourself. And so keep it on that self-direct model here in Georgia. And we will be back next week continuing our discussion. So thank you all so much and take good care.
Kim.